president and founder of Cancercalled, two-time cancer survivor.
I wanted to become a mother, so I kept doing these infertility treatments. Looking back, I believe that's what caused my cancer. My life was right on time, all the way to the cancer. That's nothing but God. We don't believe in coincidence. The cancer's nowhere to be seen.
This is what miracles are made of, right?
Control of the mind. How are you going to answer it? You would be surprised how many people ponder that, or again, don't have the mental capacity or the will to want to answer the call. How are you going to answer it? The challenge of cancer is harder after you beat it. I've always led people.
Leadership with no degree.
No degree.
With no degree. As a black woman.
It was not easy being a black woman in America. It's come back now, stage 4, living with that. A lot of people don't believe I'm stage 4 because I look healthy. When you become stage 4, your whole perspective on life completely changes.
Welcome to this episode of Beast vs. Zombie. Today I have a very special guest with me, Miss Tamara Bara, Red Stage 4 Unicorn, president and founder of Cancercalled, two-time cancer survivor. Thank you so much for joining us today. I really
Thank you
appreciate
for having
you
me down
so much. I'm super excited. So let's get right into it.
Absolutely.
I want to start with this first question, and this is what I've been starting all the episodes with, is what advice would you give to somebody on overcoming any kind of challenges in their lives?
So something that always sticks with me, regardless of going through cancer or anything in my life, right, is the mind. A lot of people forget that the mind is a powerful thing. And so when dealing with cancer, it's not just about the medication, the chemo, the radiation, we can go on, but it's definitely the mind. If you don't have control of the mind and put it in your mind that this is something that you'll not only beat, but you'll excel from, you will fail. And so that's what I try to tell people, especially with Cancercalled, that, we're there to change the mind. Mm-hmm. You have to have it down, which I clearly see that you have.
I think we both got that. I think we both got that. And I think I agree with you. I think that is a very integral part. That's one of the only things you can control in your life, right?
Very true.
And there's definitely a big piece, and it's not just with you, it's with a lot of the other cancer survivors that I have had as guests on the show, is we have some type of faith or belief that this was not the end, right?
Absolutely.
This was not going to break us. And in my situation, when I was going through this, I remember speaking to my dad. I say this all the time. Mm-hmm. He was my parents were very concerned. I was 19 at the time when I was first diagnosed.
Which still blows my mind. I can't even imagine being 19. I was running around at 19.
Yeah, and so he asked me, how do you feel? You're diagnosed with cancer. I don't know if he's ever dealt with anybody being diagnosed with cancer, let alone his son, right? And I just remember they also don't know how you feel. Mm-hmm. Right. And so I was 19. I was young. I've always been extremely active. And I just said, I don't know, Dad, what this is, because when we first got diagnosed, we didn't even believe it until we got a full diagnosis.
Yeah. We
did not believe. Right. You don't think you're going to get cancer until
you're 19. You're worried about chasing girls or, whatever your preference is.
I'm 2 years into college.
Yeah. You're trying to be cute and be out in these streets. You don't have time for no medicine and hospital visits.
I'm not
That's
thinking
insane.
about no way I could get cancer, right? I told my dad, I don't know what this is, but we just have to beat it. Mm-hmm. And I always tried to just lead by example with my attitude through this whole thing, not just for me and what I thought and my belief and my confidence and how that affects everything, but also for everybody else's confidence and belief in what I was going through and seeing me go through. Maybe I was going through chemo or I had a bone marrow transplant or whatever that looked like, that they had confidence and they were feeling that and giving me good energy as well. Right. Going through all of this. So that was an extremely important part that I kept with me starting from the beginning. That was important for me, for sure.
They're definitely going off of your your leadership, I quickly found that out when, I decided to start up social media and post things that were happening to me and doing dance videos with my husband, after every chemo treatment. So to your point, finding something and locking in on something that allows you to provide that leadership so that others follow however you're feeling, because you're going to have those mood swings. You a man, but okay, let's talk about me. Because the mood swings are legit, right? So to your point, you are what they are looking at, regardless of the sickness and how they're supposed to treat you on any given day. And that, to me, is tough in itself. I can't imagine being a caregiver. I don't know if you've been on the other side of that, of cancer and not being a patient, but can you imagine approaching someone every day and not knowing what mood they're going to be in, or if it hurts, or why does it hurt, or why are you crying? So if you say that you were a great leader, which, I've just met you in person here recently, I'm sure that they followed you right on into your treatment, right on into your success of beating cancer. Yeah.
Yeah. And to your point, right, all the people, all your friends, all your family, the people that care about you, your support system, they go through this journey with you.
Absolutely.
And 100%, I've never been a caregiver. Shout out to my mom.
Hey, Mom.
Man, she was my, so I've had 2 bone marrow transplants, and she was my caregiver both times. And specifically, like the last transplant, we want to talk about mood swings.
Yeah.
That was probably one of the darkest times that I've ever had in my life. And I was really broken down. So, like, this is fun. It's actually funny.
I mean, we laugh at it now. You have to laugh at it, or you're going to cry every 5 minutes.
It's funny reflecting on it now. During the time, I was just stuck in, like, this really dark place. And I'm a really positive guy. I'm a really positive guy. I read a lot of self-help, personal development. I'm very optimistic. I believe, like you said, in the power of the mind and what that does to your life and the results that you see in your life. And I was just in a really dark place, and I knew it. And I was kind of almost leaning into it. I was just so frustrated. I had gotten my 2nd bone marrow transplant, and in my mind, like, I had beat cancer once already, so this is the time it had came back, and I was going through another bone marrow transplant. The procedure was a little bit different this time, opposed to me giving my own cells to myself. I got my dad's cells in this transplant, and so
that's amazing.
That was like the only difference here, but the difference was night and day. Also, it was during COVID. The other one,
you and I both.
The other one, I remember you went through this during COVID. The other one was pre-COVID time, so I had a lot more support, and I guess you could say maybe wasn't as crazy just sitting in the hospital by myself. It was honestly during COVID. I was only allowed 1 guest. When you get a bone marrow transplant, you're in the hospital for about a month, and you're quarantined. I'm on a level. I'm the youngest one. I'm always the youngest one, and it's kind of scary. I'm on a level with all these, like, leukemia patients, a bunch of blood cancer,
and they all look sickly,
and blood disease patients, and they're all extremely. Everybody's doing worse than me.
Yep,
100% transparency. Everybody's doing worse than me, and it was just way different. I thought, it's just another bone marrow transplant. I'm about to breeze through this one just like I did the first one. Right? And it was not like that. And so that was a lot of my frustration and anger. And again, I didn't have a lot of people to express this to. I'm just by myself, or it's just me and my mom.
Yeah.
And then getting out of the hospital, still dealing with some issues, not going as smooth as I would like. I think I got out of the hospital and then was readmitted in the hospital maybe like a week later for another week or 2.
Yeah.
And it was just extremely frustrating. And so this was probably, like I said, one of the most dark times and periods in my life where I was just everything and anything was just irritating me.
Yeah, I think to your point, boy, we on this mental game for real. To that point, Dom, like, first of all, let me just say, you know, I commend you for being a survivor, but wow, think of the man that you've become because of the time that you had to sit by yourself, right? The time you had to sit by yourself and reflect how strong you became because you couldn't have all those visitors. You know, I look back now during COVID and I'm like, I wonder if I would have been different if I had 6 people sitting with me at chemo. You know, would I have been different if I didn't have that time to sit there and reflect on not only beating it, but who am I going to be when I come out of that? Look at who you are now. I mean, I don't have to tell you this, but I'm really proud of you being that age. You know, I was 38 when it hit me the first time. So I've lived my life, not the whole life, but I lived a lot of my life already. To be 19 and to have to sit by myself, you're not even you're an adult, but you haven't even lived life yet. You don't even know half the experiences that you're about to go through, and you're sitting there trying to figure out how to get your mental game where it needs to be so that you can go live that life that I'm talking about. So that in itself, you know, is huge. The other thing I wanted to mention when you said how you were in a really dark space, I think for me, the challenge of cancer is harder after you beat it. I don't know how you feel about that, but when I was in it, I'm in it to win it, right? Like, right. I got to get through this. I got living to do. I like to travel. I just got married a month ago. What y'all talking about? Like this, I got to go, right? Like, I got things to do. So pump this med in me, do this radiation. Let's hit these streets. Mm-hmm. You know, all of that is gone now. It's come back now. I'm stage 4, you know, living with that. A lot of people don't believe I'm stage 4 because I look healthy, probably healthier than I want to with this weight, but that's okay. But after all that's gone, all the people go away, right? There's not all those check-ins. There's no cards. There's no, hey, girl, how you doing? You know, there's none of that. So now you're really sitting with yourself, back to your point of being in the hospital, except for I sit with myself every day, day in and day out. Right. I'm not in it to win it, if that makes sense anymore. Now I'm in it to survive and to keep my mind from taking over my life.
Right.
Yeah.
And I know for me, one thing that has helped me deal with like my post-cancer situation has been this podcast. And back to your point, right? 100%. I say this all the time. I'm 100% better because I had cancer.
I agree. I agree with that. Same here.
Without a doubt, right? I went through some things. Everybody's perspective changes when you go through something so crazy like that, right? I dealt with cancer for probably like 10 years of my life, and I probably will always be on some form of fashion, have some type of dealing, at least some type of checkup. As far in dealing with cancer. And this podcast will go nowhere, right? So I'll always be dealing with this podcast. And 100% I'm better because of it. And that was the goal with this podcast, was to basically I had beat cancer for the second time. And I was like, man, I want to turn tragedy to triumph. I want to take a negative to a positive. I've learned that's what successful people do, right? I've learned it. I understand. So this is the worst thing that could happen to me, right? This is if anybody gets cancer, right, that's probably, they would say that's the worst thing that could happen. And I was like, okay, how can I gotta, for one, I knew I had done, my major in my studies and my background is in business, right? Okay. So like I understand the power of sharing a story and what that can do from a sales perspective, from just a sales perspective. And so I was like, okay, I got to be able to use my story. Like a lot of my friends are like, man, you should write a book, right? Like you got to share your story. Me on that too. You got to share your story, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And I was like, okay, how am I going to share my story and make an impact, right? And this podcast was the way that I felt like I could reach the most people the most efficient way. And I brainstormed a bunch, and I was eventually like, man, I got to just have other cancer survivors. That's my advantage, is I beat cancer, right? And so not everybody can speak to that, right?
Yeah.
And so I was like, honestly, more people than I kind of expected or assumed can speak to that I thought. I never realized.
Because it's running rampant.
Exactly.
It's running rampant. It's not getting better. It's getting worse.
Yeah. And so that's one thing I've realized, but that was my advantage in my mind was like, well, I beat cancer. I'm a interview and have other cancer survivors on as guests.
We were similar in that thought.
So that we could share our stories and inspire people that they can overcome challenges in their lives, right? Like I beat cancer, you beat cancer.
Right.
You can overcome all challenges in your life, big or small, whatever that may be. Everybody has challenges in their lives.
True.
Everybody has something they're going through. And this was my outlet. So this is how I dealt with my post-cancer situation.
Yeah.
And I'm sure in a lot of ways that's what Cancercalled has done for you.
Oh, absolutely. Cancercalled has started really back in 2020, and you saw the show where I said it started by me loving rotary phones and staring at a rotary phone and saying to myself, cancer called me, and it kind of just stuck. And then I started to think, well, if it called me, how am I going to answer? And to your point, you answered by doing this podcast, right? That's what I always ask, not just people that come on my show, but just people in general that are dealing with cancer. How are you going to answer it? Are you going to hang up the phone and just be done with it? Are you going to talk about it? Are you going to turn it around like Dom did and start a podcast and reach the masses? Like, how are you going to answer the call? You would be surprised how many people ponder that, or again, don't have the mental capacity or the will to want to answer the call, right? And so with Cancercalled, that's what we try to do, is change the mentality about cancer and how you're going to battle it, not just with, like I said, the medicine, the doctors. I love my doctors, don't get me wrong. But it's not just about that. And they will agree with me that they see me come in, and every time I come in, Dom, for my checkups, they say there's always people that ask, why is she here? Why is she here? And they say, oh, she gets checkups with Dr. Curley. Shout out to Dr. Curley. I call him C-Daddy. He the C-Daddy. But they always ask, why is she here? I started asking myself, like, hell, why am I here? Exactly. I don't know why I'm here. But yeah, with Cancercalled, we have prayer beads, hope beads, prayer cloths, hope cloths, and those are made by volunteers all over the world. I encourage people to go to cancercalled.com to learn more about our programs, but one specific that I think that sticks out from a mental perspective, like we've been talking about, is dealing with those young girls in group homes that I mentor with and dealing with trauma. Because believe it or not, we're traumatized. I don't know how you feel about that, but I'm still traumatized. So sitting with those young women and boys, my husband also mentors, sitting with them and beating with them, and they're creating something to give back to the community, to reach the masses, like you said. Mm-hmm. And it is a symbol of hope. It's not me giving meals or me being on TV all the time. It's really to say someone cares about you and you're not alone. Mm-hmm. You're not that 19-year-old in the hospital reflecting on his life, right?
And shout out AB, right, y'all? So y'all, I went through how y'all met, right?
Right.
That was pretty impressive.
We don't believe in coincidence.
Y'all don't. Okay, so we'll get back to that. I don't believe in coincidence.
Yep.
Right, and so y'all met. It was Mother's Day. He flew me down for Mother's Day after we met. So we actually met right at the beginning of COVID. Okay.
On a dating app. Mm-hmm. And he was in San Diego, as you saw, and I was in Phoenix. Mm-hmm. And we never changed the demographics. We never changed the demographics on those stupid dating apps, right? And neither one of us ever did those dating apps. It's just ridiculous, right? Mm-hmm. And then he invited me to like coffee or something, and he tried to tell me where to go, and I was like, we don't have that bridge. I don't know what you're talking about. And that's when we found out we were in two different cities.
In two different places in the world.
Yeah.
Right, so it's amazing that y'all came together the way you did. I love how that worked out for you guys.
Thank you.
And, you know, he made that special. It seemed like he do what he's supposed to do there.
Definitely.
So kind of speak to, I know for you, right, motherhood has always been a goal of yours.
Absolutely. My whole adult life.
And I know both of you guys, like you spoke to, do what you can in order to give back to the youth. Like kind of speak to how those two and two go in hand for you.
Yeah.
And what role that does for you.
Yeah. So this is how I know I'm definitely further in my life in regards to the trauma of that and wanting to be a mother so bad. I wanted to become a mother probably around 25 or 26, and I'm 43 now. I was married before, and I felt like in your life as a woman, because a lot of us are programmed and raised to believe that in order to be a woman, you have to have children. You're supposed to have children, right? You're with a husband. You're supposed to have babies. You're supposed to have the house. You're supposed to have the nice job. And so for me, I'm like, well, I got to do all these things, right? I'm a type A personality, if you know what those are. And so I'm like, it's got to be boom, 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 boom. And it all has to fall in line the way that I've been taught it's supposed to fall in line. And so when I wasn't getting pregnant, I was like, something's not right. And my first husband, it wasn't me. They didn't discover that I had thyroid issues yet and pituitary glands and the things we learn, right? With all this medical stuff. So I kept doing these infertility treatments, and I'm hammering them, Dom. Like, oh, it didn't work, do it again. You know, oh, do IUI. Oh, do IVF, right? And so it never took to the point where the baby passed 5 days. And so looking back, I believe that's what caused my cancer. Now, the professionals they won't say that because they can't prove that. But when you have invasive ductal carcinoma, and I was triple positive, so my cancer feeds off estrogen. Well, what are you pumping your body full of when you're trying to get pregnant? Estrogen, right? So maybe even if it didn't cause it, it sped it up. Right. I really believe that. And so unfortunately, I've never been able to be a mother in regards to my own biological children. And so that's what sparked me into doing nonprofit and working with homeless children at the time in Cincinnati, where I'm originally from. And it just grew from there. And I just longed for that all these years. I don't think that'll ever go away. I try to make peace with that. And even when I have friends that say, but you mother so many instead of just one. And, you know, you hear that, just like when people say, you can beat cancer. And you're like, yeah, you know. Yeah. But, I know that I'm doing good for other people's children, but it'll never be the same like my own.
Right, yeah. I could understand that. I've always aspired to be a parent, you know.
Really?
And
okay.
One day,
it's coming.
I'm sure, you know, it's actually pretty crazy. I proposed to my girlfriend next week. So we will be engaged next week.
How you telling that on air?
Because this is not live, so she'll see this retrospectively.
Look, I was freaking out. Like, you about to mess this up.
It's a complete surprise. She has no idea.
I love this.
It's going to be really awesome.
Early congratulations.
And so one day I will have kids 100%. Right, I believe being a parent and being a mentor, but even just inspiring people in general is extreme. Like that's kind of like what I feel like my purpose is here in this life, based on what I've gone through, based on what I do, based on my voice, and based how I conduct myself as a person. Right, I always say I try to lead by example in everything I do.
Absolutely, I see that.
And so, you know, going back to. Right, I don't believe in coincidence. I believe everything happens for a reason. And I was just talking to my buddy this morning. Yeah. I was on the phone with, he's my boss. Shout out to Curtis. He's my boss, and we was talking, and I was like, man, I don't believe in coincidence. I believe, right, like whatever your belief or you have faith in, right, is like that your communication and your connection to that faith, like you have to do your part to listen, to pay attention, to be aware in order to receive and to let those things and let that communication flow into you, right? And that's your part in this relationship, right? It's not like just a conversation like you and I are having right now that we have with God, right? It's He communicates to us through experiences and events and the things that are coming into my life all day.
Absolutely.
Right? Based on, and then it's on me to perceive and take all and it took me a long time to get to this point.
You and I both.
With my connection with what I believe in to really understand how to get this communication and perceive that my life is happening for me, right? And whether I see it or not, it's because of the things that I believe in and that I think. And right, I don't believe in coincidence. I say this all the time, perfect timing. Or you could call that God's timing, right? Whatever you want. I like this song. It's by Travis Scott. I mentioned this in all my lives. He says, "Stop trying to be God," because you don't know.
That's a good one.
You don't know when something is supposed to happen, right? And the timing is really not up to you to really know how or to know why, right? Like even like when we got cancer, there was a part that was like, well, why did I get cancer?
Of all the people in this world.
Of all the people, right? And you don't believe it till you get it. Well, why did I? But then it's like, well, it doesn't really matter why, right? I can't say the situation. I don't believe situations are good or bad. I just think they are, right? And then it's on us to move forward and take those situations. Like I said, life is happening for me. Why is this a good thing for me, right? Why? Yeah. How can this be a blessing or a lesson? That's something that's Inky Johnson. Why?
A blessing or
why
a lesson.
Is this a blessing or a lesson that I can take, that I can move forward? How can this better my life, right? And better my situation?
I agree with you, because when you talk about not believing in coincidences and right on time, when I put the timeline together of the things that I've accomplished and where I am today and the things that I had to remove from my life, that's nothing but God. Like, I don't, people's religion, pick your religion, that's on you. I don't judge you, do you, as they say, right? Yes. But I have never been closer to God than I am today. And I know that everything that happened in my life was right on time, all the way to the cancer. Would I have said that the first round of cancer? Absolutely not. When you become stage 4, your whole perspective on life completely changes. And so being in senior leadership and working so hard to get to the director level, which I just became a senior manager, but I put my whole life into leadership, right? I've always led people in some way, whether they're children or adults or family. And so the timing of that with the cancer, I think it was God's way of saying, it's time for you to step away, and you're not going to step away unless I make you step away. Ask me that 10 years ago, I'd have gave you a different answer, right? Yeah. So now I'm in a position where God's like, you have stage 4. Are you going to work yourself to death, which I think people do, right, from the stress? Or, this is him saying this to me, I believe, or I'm going to give you cancer long enough for you to step away from the stress, which is why I left corporate America. And then 3 months later, the cancer is nowhere to be seen, right? Like nowhere. It's not in my lung. It was a big old nodule in my lung from where it metastasized, So now it's completely gone. You put me in a relationship with a man that came right before the cancer hit. Okay? If I would have had cancer, and I promise you, I put this on my grandmother's grave, Dom, I had said to my friends and my family, if I ever get cancer, I won't fight it. I have no reason to fight it because I didn't have children. Because my purpose was just, I have to have babies, right? And so I think God heard that and was like, I got you. I'm going to enter AB, right? Now you're going to get this cancer, right? We're going to get you out of work. right? So now you retired at 43. I wanted to retire at 50. Most people don't retire at 50. I think that was just something I had in my head, you know? But now I'm living a life where I'm trying to live the best life I can, and I'm trying to beat those 2 clocks. Like, you, to me, have 2 clocks, right? Well, maybe you say 1. Everybody has a clock. We don't know when we're going to leave. But as a stage 4 person, I feel like I have 2 clocks, and I have to beat it because I never know when God's going to be like, okay, time's up, right? You did what you came to do. Yeah. Time is up. So that's how I feel about timing. Right. It's like, there's no coincidence in that. It was all set up to be this way. And I wasn't supposed to have children with those other men because my husband made it very clear he didn't want a woman with children.
Yeah, see? It's perfect. And
so I would have never got him.
It works out so perfectly, man. And we can't make this up. Like this is
real life.
This is real life. This is what like miracles are made of, right?
Absolutely.
And so that's something above me, right? And I might not ever fully understand it, but I can do my part in understanding and believing in how that works, right? Mm-hmm. And that's what I do with my timing. So I want to speak to one point that you spoke to.
Yeah.
You mentioned, getting to leadership in corporate America and always being a leader all your life with no degree. With no degree. As a black woman in America.
Come on now. He about to do some church in here.
So, like, what was that experience like? How did you do that? How did you achieve something like that?
God. Like, I have no other way to say it. Like, I never thought I would leave high school. I went to art school, Creative and Performing Arts in Cincinnati. School of Creative and Performing Arts, Cincinnati. So I was always doing vocal. I played French horn. I played trumpet. Like, that was life for me, People said that they were following me back then. They say this today, and I'm like, yeah, whatever. I was just tooting the trumpet, But I left high school, and I went right into work. And then I tried a little bit of college, and I realized college wasn't for me. And this is what I tell those young girls that I mentor. You don't have to follow everybody's path. You don't have to follow America's path. Let me be clear. Everything is not college and spending money on everything. That might not be your path. Maybe your skill is cars. Maybe you do podcasts for a living. Maybe I don't know. But you don't have to follow everybody's way of life. And so I started working at like Delta and customer service jobs. And I quickly found out that I need to be in an office space, and I like to fix problems. And so I started at Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield when I was 19. When you probably when you were born, I don't know. I'm aging myself, but that's why I said at 19, taking on cancer, and I'm over here trying to figure out how to build a career. It's like 2 different walks of life at that time. Right. But I got into health insurance, commercial health insurance. And I just started learning. And when people were teaching me things, I'm over there like, that's how you do that, or clicking around. And then I said, I like to do business analysis. So then I jumped into that. And I just went from there. And I think as I continue to gain what I believe were followers now, not cult in the cult sense, but from a leadership perspective, that's what took me into management, because you just keep going up the chain. And like you said, it was not easy being a black woman in America. We're always going to be paid less, right? Even if you were my boss, they're going to treat me different just because you're a man, So what you say is gold. What I say is possible, And so that challenge for me, looking back, Dom, is like, you did what you came to do. God said that time is up. Time to turn the page. Yeah. And so that's where I am today.
That's awesome. That's so cool that you were able to overcome, I'm sure, more challenges than we just spoke to.
Yeah.
In getting to where.
That's a whole different podcast.
That's what I'm saying. That's a whole different conversation. And so that's amazing. I applaud you for that.
Thank you.
That's a different time. That's crazy. like you said, you're dealing with, and similar to what you were speaking to, right? You were 19, right? Like, so I was 19 when I got cancer. Then everything just gets put on hold, right? I'm a sophomore in college, just about to figure out my major and what I want to go to school for and major in, and then I get cancer. I don't believe it, but I have to take that seriously, right? And I have to put all my responsibilities on hold for a little bit. And eventually, actually, right, I completed my 4-year degree while I was getting.
Congratulations.
Okay, this is another thing about my timing. The first time I beat cancer, it was the same year that I completed my college degree. It was 2019. That was the first time.
Because your treatments and stuff.
Yeah, and so that last maybe like year or so, I was flying. So I'm originally from Portland, Oregon.
Okay.
So I was flying from here in Vegas. I went to UNLV at the time. I was flying from here in Vegas to Portland, Oregon every 2 weeks doing my immune therapy treatment that got me into remission. And I had finished that up 2019, same year I graduated college. So that was like a exciting year for me.
That's a huge accomplishment.
That was a big year. And then 3 years after that, the cancer came back and I dealt with it again. But at that time, that was like, oh yeah, I beat cancer, I'm done.
Yeah, you're flying high now, right? You got your degree. Life is good.
I was able to get to a job and, get some skills. And that was 2019. I'll never forget that year. That's ingrained in my mind forever.
You know why I remember 2019?
Okay, yeah.
I lost almost 100 pounds. That was a good year, boy. I was flying high with you because I was like, things fit. That's when they figured out some other medical issue I had.
Okay, yeah.
And it was causing me to have so much weight. It was a thyroid issue. And once they fixed that thyroid issue, it just dropped off. It's crazy.
Okay, cool.
Crazy.
It's crazy the research that they have an understanding with everything that even just like you and I deal with. So speak to a little bit. I know, right, you've beat breast cancer twice. You originally had breast cancer. You beat that. It came back. Now you have. So speak to like the specific cancer that you have. And I also know that it's similar to like what you explain, like a chicken pox or like a shingles, that like it's dormant in your body currently.
Right.
And you are on oral chemo for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And, so kind of explain that situation and what all that means for people that don't understand what this is.
Yeah, definitely we need that education. So it was invasive ductal carcinoma, breast cancer, and it was stage 1 the first time, which is mind-blowing because it's like, how do you go from 1 to 4? We just skip it. I think that's God. Like, we go hard in the paint.
We gonna
right?
This up.
We got to get you out of this job. No. So yeah, it was like I said, invasive ductal, stage 1, and then I did the treatments, which was the chemo. It was like 6 rounds. So when I hear people say, "Oh, I did 24 rounds," I'm like, I was like, nothing, Tamara. 6 rounds, and then I did radiation. I had those expanders that they put in to help keep the skin, help stretch the skin because I had the double mastectomy. I decided to do it on the other side because I was so worried it was going to come back. It came back anyway. So it's definitely a choice in what you want to do and what they offer you with lumpectomies or mastectomies. You have to make that choice for yourself. You cannot base that off of any one person's experience. So after that and getting MRSA, did you get any staph infections when you were sick?
When I was sick, one time after my bone marrow transplant, I got C. diff.
That's a new one.
So that's a
staph infection?
I don't know if it's a staph infection, but that's the only type of infection I've ever dealt with going through.
I'm going to look that up, though. I'm going to look that one up. But yeah, I wound up getting MRSA, and so they had to take the expanders out because the MRSA would attach to the expander, spread through your body, and can kill you. It's a staph infection.
Okay.
And so after beating all that and then getting my stomach, I got what they call DIEP flap and DIEP flap. They cut the lower half of my stomach from hip to hip to create another breast because the expander wasn't able to expand the skin where the MRSA was.
Okay.
And so that was tough because now I'm back in the hospital for something to me that don't even have to do with the breast cancer. You just cutting up my body. But it is what it is. And so after beating all that and it coming back as stage 4, they consider it stage 4 because it's metastatic breast cancer. So it's metastasized, meaning that it's moved from the original location of your body into other parts of your body. This was definitely a possibility given the fact that my first surgery, they found it in my lymph nodes. And I don't know if you know about the lymphatic system, but once something is in your lymph nodes, it can go anywhere in your body, which is why they offer the chemo, kill every cell in your body to hopefully kill the cancer. But that cancer was like, girl, no, I'm going to call you one more time. And so, and so it did. So now that it's metastasized, that means, like you said, it's dormant, but it could be anywhere in my body and it just hasn't showed its head, like chicken pox.
Yes.
Right?
Right.
So maybe at some point in my life, it will rear its head again. And that means the medicine is no longer working, or God says, your time is up. And so you just have to make peace with that.
Right. Yeah, that's where the faith piece comes, the timing comes in. And so to speak to the lymphatic system, so like I had Hodgkin's lymphoma. So
okay.
I had cancer in my lymph nodes, and that's why it was treated like a blood cancer. And I got multiple bone marrow transplants, right? And so a bone marrow transplant, right, they kill all the cells in your body, and to where they can't detect any more cells, and then they in kind of the actual procedure, the bone marrow transplant, it's just a blood infusion. And, and so the host cells that they collected, whether the first time, like I said, were my own cells, because I didn't have actual cancer like in the T cells in my bones, or the second time it was my dad's cells was the donor for my cells and who had collected those cells to give back to me. Then they take those cells, they freeze them or whatever they do, and then in that the bone marrow transplant is actually like a 15-20 minute blood infusion where they just inject you with a whole bunch of cells in blood, basically, in preservatives. And it sounds crazy, right? It sounds like when you think of a transplant, right? It sounds like,
I thought you was like they
sounds like they taking all the bones out and then putting more bones in, right? That's what a transplant seems like, right? So it's like a fancy way to say it's more like a blood transplant than a bone marrow. Well, I mean, I guess bone marrow is in your blood, and your cell. It's very technical, right?
It is. But how did it make you sick?
When
you think of a blood transfusion or infusion, like I had to get blood transfusion because I lost so much blood from the surgery, another infection that I had got, and the blood was just leaving my body. And so I had to get more blood. But how does that make you sick if you just think, I just sit down and they pump me with some cells?
So the risks of the bone marrow transplant is, for one, before you get the procedure done, like you have no cells in your body. So that's why you're quarantined to one floor. There's all these special procedures and precautions to make sure that like everything is extremely clean, because you have no immune system. You have no cells in your body. You're immunocompromised. And so if something does happen, your body will not be able to fight that off, right? So that's part of it. The other part is, right, when my dad gave me his cells, now I have all these foreign cells in my body that are not my own cells, and my body recognizes like these are not your cells. Like, what is this? So this is the crazy part. So what they do is, like, for a day or two, they let those cells attack your body. And they let them, that's how they formulate the medication to basically communicate to your body that these cells are now the cells in your body. They're okay, so that your body
That's
kind of
crazy.
accepts those cells. So that's a risky thing. And my dad was only a half match, right? People do these as full matches, but so my 2 bone marrow transplants were probably like at least 3 years in between them. And between those 3 years, there had been enough research. The first time, I didn't have an option to do a half match like with my dad, or like a quarter match with my sister, or a half match with my mom. I needed a full match, right? So I put my cells in a database, and my background, my ethnicity, my ethnic background is my mother is Korean, so I'm half Korean, and my dad is African American. So I'm half black, half Korean.
Yeah.
Right? That's not the most common. I don't think I ever matched 100% with anybody in their database around the entire world. Right? So
this
like
is crazy. This is blowing my mind.
Yeah, I don't know if I would have ever matched with anybody 100%. So that is why initially I gave myself my own cells. They tested the T cells in my bone, and I had no cancer actually in the T cells in my bones. And that bone marrow transplant didn't even work. So I went through all of that. And I came out on the other side and got a scan in like 3 months or something. And I still had cancer. So then I did like an immune therapy. I got into remission. That's a whole nother story. But then 3 years, research had shown that you can now do half matches. You can now do quarter matches. And that saved my life.
That's insane.
And now I live with my dad's cells, and it was a half match, and research had shown that it doesn't make too big of a difference, and that literally cured my cancer.
That's mind-blowing.
Yeah, I've been in remission.
And there's no God?
Exactly. Right?
Okay.
And
if
so,
y'all say so.
So, right, that's a miracle.
That's a miracle.
Right.
That's a capital M miracle. Mm-hmm. Like what if your father was no longer here? What would you have done? We wouldn't be having this conversation most likely.
Right. It all matched up perfectly, right? And that's
right on time.
Right on time. Perfect timing. That's why I say perfect timing. And so that's my experience with lymph nodes and my understanding in the lymphatic system as far as that goes. And so so that's but your situation is crazy, right? You're still, like you said, post beating cancer, still dealing with it in a lot of ways.
Oh, every day.
And you're not the only one that has communicated with me like, man, like we still deal with this
every day,
and in the back of my mind, there's always a chance that this can still, even for me, this can still come back. And on top of that, they don't tell you why you got cancer.
No.
They don't tell you.
Or admit why you think you got cancer.
Why you, exactly. Like you kind of put the 2 and 2 together why you think it could happen, right? But they won't tell you. No. And there's no way that we have all this research in the world. We understand everything so deep at such a cellular level.
Right.
And have all this information. We have the internet. And everything is exposed. There's cameras everywhere, and they can't tell you why you got cancer.
Yeah.
Right? And they can't tell you if it will or will. There's something else going on there.
Yeah, definitely. When they tell you, if you get this radiation, you're going to have less than 3% chance. I think I was closer to like a 2% chance of it coming back because I was stage 1. It was early, right? It wasn't like stage 3, and then you move into stage 4. You would be like, oh, well, we kind of saw that coming, But stage 1, and you're looking good, and then they're like, oh, well, now it's stage 4, right? Okay, well, then what caused that? It's probably because it's still looking for estrogen, but you took all the estrogen out of my body. You put me in menopause at 38, right? So the child stuff is gone, and now you want me to be like, it's just environmental. I don't know. I'm thinking food. Exactly. I'm thinking it's food, definitely food. And I think we all have where we can get it in our body. Mm-hmm. It's just some people's bodies are genetically built different that they can't fight it off. That's what I believe. Because how's it getting worse when you have millions and millions of dollars going to research?
Yeah, exactly.
Give me a few $1 million and you and I can do some things.
I promise
I'm just saying.
We could come to a solution. I promise you. Right? And so, like, I don't want to get too far down this rabbit hole because we could talk about this all day. But, right, like, I always see stuff on social media, and I've even seen the videos that say, right, like, you shouldn't get a biopsy on your cancer because the lump, right, that you're seeing that's not a bad thing. That's your body, like, grabbing all that poison and putting it in one place. And so when they do the biopsy, that's them releasing all the cancer into your body. And then that's how thought of it like all of a sudden you have an aggressive form of cancer. Right? So that was kind of a crazy theory.
I kind of want to see this link, though. Like, I want to read this. I'm going to send you a video. Yeah, I want to read this. Video on Instagram. But, right, like, things like that are crazy, and it's hard to know because I'm not the doctor, right? Mm-hmm.
I'm not the oncologist. I'm not the expert. I'm supposed to have people that we're supposed to trust in place that are supposed to have, like, our well-being in mind, right? And we all know that the healthcare and medical industry is for profit, and everybody makes money off of that.
Yeah.
Right. And so, you know, it's just interesting how all this goes. Right. But like, I don't want to go down like this rabbit hole.
We'll talk about it on my show.
We'll talk about. Yeah, we got to talk about it on your show. Yeah, for sure. One time. What else I want to get into? Let me look right here real quick. And so I know I have a good question. Okay. So what I want to get into is like I said, I was watching your show. So I was watching you share your story on stars.
Yes.
What is stars? Explain what that is to me and to other people that are watching with us.
So stars is part of a nonprofit that this lady started in Arizona years ago. She is also on my show, Miss Judy. I don't want to slaughter her last name, but her name is Judy.
Shout out
McPherson.
Judy.
Yeah. She started this because she was a breast cancer triple negative survivor, which I believe triple negative is more rare than positive. And she was looking for a way to give back. So she had called her nonprofit Second Act, right? A Second Act. And part of that was STARS, which is Survivors Tell a Real Story. And that's where she finds people like you and I to come and talk about their stories, but more in a formal setting where they have a actual theater show and they audition those ladies and they select, I think last time it was 8 of us, to get up on stage. We were at Herberger Theater in Phoenix, Arizona, and we got to tell our stories. You met one of the other ladies that was on the show, Marina. So shout out to Marina.
Shout out Marina Blackford.
Yeah.
She has her own podcast too,
sure
the Beyond Cancer podcast.
Yep.
Check that out.
We love Marina.
Yes, she's so nice.
So, yeah, I auditioned for that. I brought that red phone that you saw to my audition. I guess they liked it because they picked me. And we got up there and we got to tell our stories. And I was the only stage 4 survivor at the time that was up there. And there was other ladies that had done it in years past. And there was one particular lady that I had watched, actually 2. One of them was a stage 4 patient at the time, and she really motivated me to actually do the show because at first I was like, who wants to hear about this? Like, you're going to die, girl. Like, who wants to hear about this? Like, you know I'm just saying, like, when you hear stage 4 or you say stage 4, people freak out, you know, or they clamp up. They're like, you know. So, yeah, with stars, I think I don't want to say completely changed my life, but it has definitely moved me into public speaking. I'm definitely not shy about that, as you could tell. Yes. But stars is just amazing, and I thank Judy for that, giving us that platform to talk about how we have survived and move forward, you know, after cancer. So I think it's coming back next year in the spring.
And it's only breast cancer in female survivors.
No, it's all survivors.
I gotta get involved. I gotta audition.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get on the stars.
Right? Shout out. We got to shout out to Judy.
Shout out, Ms.
So
Judy.
it was breast cancer. I think they've had bladder cancer. They've had Hodgkin's lymphoma. All types of cancer have been on there. So it's amazing.
Come up with a show. I gotta audition.
I feel like you could do your own show.
Yeah.
And have that at a theater. I've thought about doing it at one point myself. Because it's something that is great, and you're reaching the masses to help people and inspire people.
That's the goal.
Yeah, exactly. We had one lady, really quick, that they gave a free ticket to. So you purchase tickets, but all of that money that was raised went to a nonprofit, another nonprofit in the city. But there was one lady that didn't have the money to attend, and so they gave her a ticket. And they told me after the show that she just came to see me because she was stage 4. Yeah. And so that meant a lot to me.
I said, when I started this podcast, I said, man, that's crazy. I said, if one person watches every episode and gets something from it, and my goal here is to do 1,000 episodes, right? And if one person, just simply one person, and this is me lowballing myself, right? If one person can get some type of inspiration, motivation from each one of these episodes over time, then like I have helped out 1,000 people.
That's a great way to look at that.
That was my goal. That was like my lowball goal.
Yeah.
Of like the worst that could come from this, if nothing else.
Yeah.
Right. And that's like I said, my lowball, like selling myself short.
Yeah.
Right. I will have helped 1,000 people with what I have done over these 1,000 episodes and sharing other cancer survivor stories.
I need to take a page out of your book.
That's how I viewed it.
Yeah, I definitely need to take a page out of your book because it's challenging some days for me, even with Cancercalled and what we do. I'm not a big social media person. Marina has taught me a lot to help me be able to post and things like that. She's good at that, right? But I think I will take that away from this podcast is if I can reach at least one person 1,000 times, then I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. And you saw what I asked God for.
Right.
I said, he keeps me around. I'm going to do his work every day.
30 years.
30 years. 30 years. He owed me 29.
Hey, a lot can happen in 30 years. Yeah. Hey, that's a lot of time. Man, the next point I want to speak to is you have a support group.
So I have... Well, depends on how you want to look at it. So I have Cancercalled, and then I have where I do my YouTube channel. I've tried to start a support group where I get out and I have people come to me and talk to me. It didn't go so well. So I feel like my support groups are me going and beading with individuals, specifically the seniors that I've come across. And that's one of our programs is we bead and crochet with seniors. A lot of those seniors had cancer, believe it or not. Again, It's running rampant. So talking to them and helping them through their trauma and them making something for cancer patients like you and I and giving back. And they also don't feel forgotten, right? So that's really important. But I would love to start a support group where I could come out and speak to those individuals and give them an opportunity to speak on their experiences and knowing that they're not alone. Because believe it or not, no matter how much support you have from your family, it's a different support when it's an external being, right?
Right.
It's not the same as a friend or a girlfriend or your mom. Your mom is always gonna wipe your head. You know what I mean? But having someone that understands what you're going through and you can speak openly about that and not be judged, then that's what I'm trying to get to. I just got to get people to show up.
It's like a therapist.
Yeah, without the degree. There I go without the degree. There I go. One
of my goals is that I'm going to be working on is becoming like a life coach to do something. We should try and get something worked out to do some type of support group because, I mean, it's the same mission and the same purpose that I have here to inspire people to overcome the challenges in their lives, and that includes cancer. Right. And so, yeah, I believe that, it's hard. Support is tricky right? Like you said, I mean, even growing up, not just in cancer, like listening to and trying to learn things and like dealing with coaches and mentors and other adults in my life. Like sometimes some of this stuff, like I have to learn on my own, right? Like sometimes my dad is telling me like, son, it's going to happen like this, this, and this. And I'm like, nah, that can't happen to me. And then it goes on, it happens like this, this, and this. And I'm like, Dad, you were right. It happened exactly how, right? But I had to learn for myself. But other times, right, external sources are extremely helpful. And so, and it's also interesting too, like I've had bad experiences too, right? Like I did one time. So like before I say this, like I want to shout out like all the doctors, all the nurses that I've dealt with. Like they've done an amazing job in getting me where I'm at now. I couldn't have done any of this without them.
Sounds like you had a great team.
That's all the support, right? I'm in the hospital for months at a time. Like these people are like my family. They're taking care of me. They're feeding my meals. They're checking my blood every 4 hours.
Yeah.
I'm chit-chatting, right? During COVID, I couldn't even have no more than just my mom visit the hospital, right? So now this is my social group for the next 30 days, right?
Yeah.
Like these are the only people I can talk to. And so I wanna there's no knock to like external sources of support, but like I have had also bad experiences where, and I don't even remember this guy's name, and maybe he watches these because I do bring him up sometimes. But I had spoke to him about what his experience was going through a bone marrow transplant, because a bone marrow transplant sounded kind of scary. And so I was like, man, I should probably talk to somebody that's gone through a bone marrow transplant. And I was like, and for me, I'm a very physical person. I like to play a lot of basketball. And I've just played sports all my life. So for my question was like, well, what is your experience as far as like getting back to like where you were physically? And he was like, you'll never get it back. You never get back.
Yeah, the negativity.
And I didn't really like that.
Yeah.
I honestly didn't really appreciate it. And at the time, I just discredited it. And it was completely false. After my bone marrow transplant, I got back, I would say, probably stronger and faster. I even had tore my Achilles after my first bone marrow transplant and got back and was in some of the best shape I've ever been in my life.
Yeah, you see.
And so like sometimes you have to take feedback with like a grain of salt, because everybody's situation is different, right? And everybody's personal opinion is exactly that. It's an opinion, and it's based off of their experiences. And you still have to be able to discern like a fact from opinion and your reality and what you want to believe in too.
Absolutely. And hearing that, I know I say it a lot, but that's just because me and God, we kick it like every day, more than y'all know. When I hear you say that, the first thing that came to mind was, oh, that was just God putting him in your way or in front of you to tell you that, to give you the drive that you needed to be better than you were physically before the cancer.
Perfect.
That's the first thing I heard. Like, he could say that all day long. But what if you didn't have the mindset to say, well, nah, I'm not just going to take you at your word. I'm about to come back better, faster, stronger. But a lot of people don't even get those types of people that cross their paths to spark something in them.
Yes.
They already gave up when they heard the diagnosis.
Yes.
And that's what I feel I'm trying to work to change.
100%, that was perfect timing, because I'm extremely competitive. I'm an extremely competitive person. It's crazy. Right now I still live with my 4th grade basketball coach.
Oh.
And he does things, and I think he knows. I don't know if he knows, but he'll do things. He'll say some slick stuff sometimes. And I take it as a personal attack and a challenge. And, we're not really battling, but we are battling, right? And I think he does know it, that he is trying to keep me, like, fueled and motivated. Like, I think he's a very intelligent man. He was a retired Air Force veteran. And he definitely knows me very well. He's known me since I was a little kid, right? And so he knows how to motivate me. He's also a really great coach and mentor to me, right? And so
what a blessing.
I don't know if he does it on purpose or on accident. I don't really care, because because I take it personally. I'll be trying to beat it. So the last question. Yeah. This is the last question, then we're going to close this out.
Okay.
Right. What is the best advice that you have ever received from some type of external source in your life?
The best advice. Wow, I've had a lot of advice. I'm gonna go back to a quote, and don't shoot me because I can't quote the person's name that said it, but the reason I remember it is because I think that it's helped ground me in my leadership career. Is I had a previous staff member, and she brought me a quote, and it said, a good leader leads people to where they want to be. A great leader takes people where they may not necessarily want to be, but ought to be. Yeah. And so that may not be the advice from someone, but I have that on my board in my home office. Mm-hmm. And it reminds me that I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. My purpose all along was what I'm doing today and asking for those 30 years from God and to do God's work. I should have been doing God's work a long time ago. So it doesn't really direct your question,
that answers the question,
but that really is what sticks with me, is that I'll be a leader regardless if I'm reporting to the man or not, and I have to make peace with that. I'm always leading every day I get up out of the bed. Mm-hmm. Somebody's watching me.
Somebody's watching, and you don't know who's watching, and we are leaders of ourselves as well. Mm-hmm. And that, right, if it's meant to be, it's up to me, right? And I love that quote, right? And it can be hard, right, when you're dealing with people, and like I genuinely care about people, right? And I believe in people, and I have hope for people, and I see the best that I can in people. And sometimes it doesn't work out how you would. I also have, because of this, I've had problems in the past where I put my expectations on other people.
Oh yeah.
And it lets me down because I'm a very, like I said, competitive. Yeah. I'm a very intense person. I'm a very serious person. I go all in or not at all. Mm-hmm. And I'm not scared to try hard. I try extremely hard. And that's the only requirement that I have for anybody in my life. And I tell them, even like my girlfriend right now, I told her, like, I have no real requirements of who you are or what you look like or anything like that. I just need you to try your absolute hardest.
I love that.
That's it.
That's really special, though.
That's super simple. That's my requirement of all my friends. And that seems, in my mind, that seems like the minimum. That's the least that somebody could do is just try your hardest. And then everything else, right, we could try and we could figure that out. Right,
I think it's because we're built that way.
And so
everybody ain't built that way.
Everybody ain't built that way, and that's what I had to figure out. I had to figure that out. And so I love that you see, the best in people, and that you are able to, like you said, as a leader, it is your role to put people in positions to win. That's how I see that.
Absolutely.
That's how I see that.
You couldn't have said it any better.
Right.
I feed off of that.
Yeah.
I really do. I want people to succeed. My husband, he'll giggle sometimes because I get so excited about things I see on TV or someone that's overcome such a massive struggle. And it brings me to tears, and I'm like, "You better get it, girl. You better secure the bag. Do this." And he's like, well, "You don't even know these people." Yeah. And I'm like, "But she's winning. She is winning in life, So to your point, I just want to see people succeed and change their mental ways of thinking, and go out here and show cancer that not only do you answer the call, you hang up when you're ready.
Right. Because we're all people.
Every day.
We all people. We all just want to be happy, man. We all want to feel good, right? And we all want to feel successful, right? Not? We deserve. I feel like inherently you should believe that, like, you deserve to feel that way.
Absolutely.
And deserve the things, but you have to do your part, Right.
Yep.
So remind everybody before we get out, like where they can find you on all social media platforms, your website, Cancer Called.
Please find me because I am working my hardest on social media. I'm not out here in these streets like y'all. I don't understand it.
Yeah.
But you can find me on cancercalled.com. On the website, and then on all social media platforms, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook, all at Cancer Called. And of course, YouTube, if you want to watch my show.
Yeah. And it's Cancer_Called.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. On YouTube. I've been trying to change that again, trying to be better at social media to make them all uniform.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you look for Cancer Called, you'll definitely find us. So it's like a phone call.
Okay.
Always look for the red phone.
Cool. So check Miss Tamara out at Cancer Called. Check out the website, BeastvsZombie.com. You can get merchandise. You know,
I give me some
tank
merch.
tops. I got I'll hook you up. Man, but 10% of all proceeds go to cancer research and cancer awareness. So make sure to check that out. That's all we have for you guys today.
Thanks, Dom.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Have a good day, you guys. Be a beast.
Beast. I love it.